Hello viewers, thanks for joining, and today we're going to talk about tablet ergonomics. So iPads, mobile computers, and things like that for light computing on the go. So first of all, I need to just explain here what the ergonomic related risk factors are that are present commonly and the different ways people use a tablet. So the first one is a one-handed hold and a one-handed interaction. So you might see things like propping their forearms, elbows, even their wrist or part of the tablet on something and angling it perpendicular to their line of sight or their gaze angle. So if they're going to be doing that, they sometimes, you have people on a bed, propping their knee up, people on a kitchen counter checking a recipe, whatever it is. Usually sustained hold one-handed is obviously tiring. So, they'll usually just hold the either the top left corner or bottom left corner if they are right hand dominant. So if you're right-handed, you're basically going to usually interact with it with your right hand. So the other way people use it is they will hold it with two hands and from there interact usually with their thumbs. And usually guys tend to do that more than females, just because they have longer thumb lengths. So it's a little easier for them to reach all the different corners of your screen. Nowadays these tablets get ginormous. Other way people interact, of course, is propping it down somewhere and like watching a movie where there's barely any interaction. As you can imagine, watching Netflix like on a plane or anything else that has very minimal interaction, maybe just a couple pushes here and there. You usually have more leeway. I mean, you could turn the tablet back into sort of a computer where there's less trade-offs, because you probably can imagine that bringing a tablet up way high is going to be really hard on the shoulders, and then eventually your back might even follow suit. So you really want to have your elbows down underneath your shoulders, right? So that weight's there in line. It'll help improve your posture and stamina in your shoulders. So what you really want to do is when you want to separate active with passive in your solution. So if you're thinking about a passive solution, usually you don't need to see what you're doing to the point where it needs to be super close. So your eyes have something called the gaze angle, which means that your neck won't kind of tilt down until your eyes kind of come down about 30 degrees below your horizontal. And I don't want to confuse you guys, but basically let me just like describe this kind of in terms of tablet. Is as the tablet kind of moves down, my eyes can move down, but then since it's so close and so low now, my neck will follow suit. Right? And we are concerned about the neck. So that's neck flexion. You don't want that. And especially prolonged sometimes. If it's hard to see something, you'll have some protraction there. And that even exacerbates the strain on the muscles in the back of the neck. So what do? That's the point of this session, right? So if you're interacting with email or otherwise another active interaction, then you want to get an external keyboard. You want to have a stand. You could still kind of here and there raise your arm up and interact with it, but you generally want it either a little further out and a little bit higher. So as I mentioned, if you bring it really close, you're going to have to tilt your neck. So if it's a little bit further out, about, that 18 to 28 inches from your eyes, you could basically keep that neck neutral or straight. So essentially you want to put it on a stand. You want to have an external keyboard. It doesn't need to be an external mouse, right? As I mentioned, you're going to be like, here and there moving things around. You can, tab around, use shortcuts as you need to, hopefully. So that's active, or typing out sentences. And then passive, you just, ideally you could really just put it on a stand without the keyboard. You really want to accommodate the neck there. They have tablet arms. Ergotron makes great ones. You want to have just those case stands. Those improve the angle and raise up the top of the display a little bit. You can also use a pillow when you're sitting down on the couch. So essentially, things you can do without equipment is you could shift positions frequently, and that's something you could take advantage of that doesn't really exist as much in a computer workstation. Another thing I wanted to mention about typing is that when you're typing, a lot of people have the keyboard propped up like this, so their wrists are super bent back in extension. So that's super bad because that's putting extra pressure in your carpal. So you want to have a flat keyboard, and you want to have it as close to your seated elbow height as you can. And then as far as holding the tablet, I see a lot of people also doing this. And this we don't see too much. This movement right here is called radial deviation. We usually are concerned with ulnar deviation with a computer workstation. So, and radial deviation is said to be more significant of a risk factor. So just make sure not to be holding your tablet like this the whole time, or with a straight arm and down. I know that might be comfortable for a while, but I see a lot of people have issues there. All right, so that's your information on tablets today. Put your questions in the chat, please. Here's an example of a Logitech keyboard where you could put your tablet on, for example, right? And that's it. Thank you for tuning in, and goodbye for now.